Think about it. How many math classes, science classes, and language classes did you take in school? Probably dozens. Now, how many listening classes did you take? If you're like most people, the answer is somewhere between 1 and none. And when it comes to coaching, listening is one of the most important skills to develop. Let's talk about 3 levels of listening. In level 1 listening, you're focused on yourself, not the person you're supposed to be listening to. You're paying attention to distractions like your own thoughts and feelings, thinking about how what the other person is saying impacts you, or just waiting for your chance to respond. You might be tempted to connect what the other person is saying to your own experience. And used sparingly, sharing your understanding of their experience can be used to build a connection. But overused, it becomes all about you. Here's what level 1 listening can sound like.
I'm having a hard time managing so many competing priorities at once, and it feels like as soon as I have my priorities set, something changes and I'm back to square one.
Oh, that reminds me of when I was in your role. Oh, that was so frustrating.
In level 2 listening, you're paying attention to what the other person is saying, the words themselves. You're not picking up on facial expressions or tone of voice. You're really focused on the facts. In the right amount, you can use this level of listening to confirm that you're getting the basics right. Overused, you miss valuable information about what isn't being said. Here's what level 2 listening can sound like.
I'm having a hard time managing so many competing priorities at once, and it feels like as soon as I have my priorities set, something changes and I'm back to square one.
Yeah. So let me just make sure that I understand. You have a lot of competing priorities, and it's challenging to manage them all. You're also dealing with changes. So as soon as your priorities seem set, that sets back your progress. Did I get that right?
Level 3 listening requires your total focus on the other person. You are listening to really understand, which means you must attend to their verbal, vocal, and visual cues. You are with them and their thoughts. You're curious and open rather than planning your response or rebuttal. You're capturing the core of what they're saying rather than every single detail. Leaders must listen to understand, not to agree or disagree. This can be extremely difficult, especially when discussing sensitive or controversial topics. However, listening at this level can be transformative to our relationships with each other, and it builds trust better and faster than any other level. Here's what level 3 listening can sound like.
I'm having a hard time managing so many competing priorities at once, and it feels like as soon as I have my priorities set, something changes and I'm back to square one.
So you're wrestling with competing priorities, and those changes upend your plans. It also sounds like this is a frustrating pattern for you. Did I get that right?
Level 3 listening helps the conversation go deeper and broader so that you can help your team member get to what they want and what's next sooner rather than later. Here are some final thoughts on listening. If you already believe you know better than the person you're listening to, you're not listening. If you already have advice to give, you're not listening. If you already know how this story turns out, you're not listening. If you're already listening only to the parts of the story that confirm your own beliefs, you're not listening. And if you already have your counterattack planned, you're not listening. If you want to be a more effective listener, drop your agenda other than your agenda to be fully present in the moment with and for your team member.